Stand by for a transmission from DX Central. This broadcast is not a test. To confirm reception, please tune your radio to any AM or FM frequency and report your observations during this transmission. Again, this is not a test. Stand by for a transmission from DX Central. This broadcast is not a test. To confirm reception, please tune your radio to any AM or FM frequency and report your observations during this transmission. Again, this is not a test.
DX Central Live is brought to you in part by...
Since 1933, the National Radio Club has been serving AMDXers while providing some of the most in-depth information in the hobby. From the annual NRC AM log, a must-have reference for domestic station information, to antenna design reference manuals, and of course, the DX News Member Bulletin, which is filled with station information updates, domestic and international loggings, and a whole lot more. Become a member today. For more information, log on to nationalradioclub.org. That's nationalradioclub.org. While the HF bands can be filled with entertaining and intriguing transmissions, how do you know when and where to look? Let Teague Publishing's Global Radio Guide lead the way. In addition to its exhaustive list of time and frequency for international broadcasters, radio hobby icon Gail Van Horn brings you equipment reviews, an SDR buyer's guide, feature articles, and more. Pick up your copy today. Visit teaguepublishing.com for more information. That's teaguepublishing.com. From the pages of its DX Monitor Member Bulletin, members of the International Radio Club of America share their domestic and international AMDX loggings. In its Mexican log, a wealth of information can be found of stations from south of the border. Technical guides, sunrise, sunset maps, and more make the IRCA a must-join for any AMDXer. For more information, log on to ircaonline.org. That's ircaonline.org.
Through crashes of static in quiet hours, we listen. In languages we can scarcely understand, and of places we have only visited in our dreams, we listen. Incessantly, we perfect our array of aerials, receivers, and resources. We refine our skills and our techniques so that we might listen. We are DX Central, and we're all about radio. Visit us at dxcentralonline.com or check us out on YouTube. Search DX Central.
Keep up with DX Central. Follow us on Twitter at DX Central.
The Gulf South
to your corner of the world.
This is DX Central Live.
Now here's your host, Lloyd Van Horn.
All right, can you hear me now? There we go. All right, you guys got me. It's DX Central Live from the North Shore Studios here in Mandeville, Louisiana. Good evening, my friend. Sorry about that. All kinds of stuff going on tonight. On top of all of that going on, we have a very sad moment we have to do here. These headphones that I've had for 24 years. Probably been seeing me talk about it on Twitter. Or like, dude, shut up, it's headphones. But I've had these for 24 years. In radio, I've recorded albums, my 3 albums that I've released, all with these guys. And so yeah, it's time to say goodbye because the right ear is shut. I've done everything I can to troubleshoot it and figure out how to get audio in both ears, and it's not working. So we must say goodbye. We must say goodbye to our friends. Ay. More stuff going on here. Let me see if I can get this going. I know what I have to do. I have a whole thing planned and then it doesn't work. Now, we must say goodbye. So there we go. Oops. So there we go. We are saying goodbye to our MDR 7506s. Using them for the last time. I think you guys probably hear me on my other microphone over here. So we must say goodbye. But as we do here in New Orleans, the show must go on. With a brand new pair of MDR 7506s. Hopefully you've had yourself a good week this week. We have been doing all kinds of stuff with the DX here. Let me just see if my audio interface ever showed back up there. I thought maybe if I swapped my input over here it would work, but it's not working. Try it again. It's almost like the headphones decided to take everything else with it. It's like, if I'm going, then the microphone's out of here. Let's see if we can get this now to work. We're getting close to top of the hour alert here, I know. We got all kinds of stuff we got to do tonight, guys. We have got our medium wave frequency. Stupid. I know why now. My phantom power wasn't on. There we go. Now we got the good audio. All right. We've got the medium wave frequency challenge to wrap up from week 18. We'll have our results coming up here after the top of the hour. We have an announcement for week 20, what we're going to be doing for new frequencies of the week. And happy St. Patrick's Day to you all, by the way. If you're not yet celebrating, I encourage you to go ahead and let's jump on that wagon. Here you go. God, I need it after this last start of the show here. Let's go ahead and get that going. The perfect pour. These nitro balls make everything so much easier. We'll let that settle. And then we'll do a cheers. We'll say goodbye to the 7506 old. We'll do a cheers to a great week of DX, hopefully for you and yours. And hopefully you've had a chance to get some good stuff. I haven't seen a whole lot of DX reported. Any rare stuff this week. Been mostly the usual suspects, but
Hopefully that'll change this coming week. We got a couple of good frequencies in store for us this coming week. Let's go ahead and fire off the top of the hour alert, and we'll come back in here and we'll do the toast. You got it. We're on our Perseus right now. We got our Perseus with Jaguar software sitting on 1570. Look how straight up and down that line is, y'all. That terminator. We're getting close to the equinox when that sucker's going to be perfectly straight. We're getting there. We're getting very, very close. We're also sitting over here on our AirSpy HF Plus Discovery, which should be on screen here. There it is. HF Plus Discovery. Got the Perseus, got the AirSpy. So we're cooking now. Now we got all the bugs sorted, and we've got our Guinness settled. Sláinte, my friends. Let's go up to 1570 so we can get away from some of the static. We have thunderstorms off the coast. Appreciate you guys sticking through all that nonsense. You know, I try to run a tight ship around here, but sometimes it just doesn't work out. Sometimes the equipment has other ideas. Again, Sláinte. Rest in peace, my good Sony headphones. Okay, there we go. Yeah, for some reason the FlexRadio decided to turn on, and when it did, it muted my mic. Let's go back. I don't know what that was all about. Why we had FT8 just kind of all of a sudden. Let's go back over to the Perseus and see if we can hear anything. We did hear, I heard to be IGO there for a second at the top of the hour. Let's go back now and see what we caught here top of the hour on the Perseus and Jaguar software. And we're going to go back one recording here, and let's try about there. This is on the west antenna. It's like a whole lot of nothing. Check lower sideband. Whew, not much in there, is there? Not much in there right now. I mean, we're still technically in daylight here, I guess. See, now we got something starting to come in here. We'll see if we can get an idea out of these guys here in a bit. But before we do that, we're gonna do a quick break. We're gonna reconvene here and see if I got all the bugs worked out. I tell you what, man. Oof. Like, all of the equipment's been conspiring against me tonight. We're gonna take a quick break, and when we come back, we're gonna have more live DX. We're gonna have our medium wave frequency challenge results from week 18, back when we were doing 1350 to 1390, and we'll, of course, later on this hour be announcing our new frequencies of the week. Hopefully, be some ones that you guys can do something cool with. And as always, let me know over here in the chat if you have any thoughts of what you think the frequencies might be. I'd like to see your thoughts. But don't forget, we are trying to finish up the rest of the frequencies that we haven't done yet, right? We're trying to finish that out so we can close out this season and start next season with a blank slate. We can do whatever frequency you want to. So we'll also have our usual shout outs and more coming up a little bit later on. So don't go anywhere. More DX Central Live is coming up right after this.
DX Central, because we're all about radio. Visit us at dxcentralonline.com or check us out on YouTube. Search DX Central. DX Central Live is brought to you in part by...
From the pages of its DX Monitor member bulletin, members of the International Radio Club of America share their domestic and international AM/DX loggings. In its Mexican log, a wealth of information can be found of stations from south of the border. Technical guides, sunrise, sunset maps, and more make the IRCA a must-join for any AM/DXer. For more information, log on to ircaonline.org. That's ircaonline.org. While the HF bands can be filled with entertaining and intriguing transmissions, how do you know when and where to look? Let Teague Publishing's Global Radio Guide lead the way. In addition to its exhaustive list of time and frequency for international broadcasters, radio hobby icon Gail Van Horn brings you equipment reviews, an SDR buyer's guide, feature articles, and more. Pick up your copy today. Visit teaguepublishing.com for more information. That's teaguepublishing.com. Since 1933, the National Radio Club has been serving AMDXers while providing some of the most in-depth information in the hobby. From the annual NRC AM log, a must-have reference for domestic station information, to antenna design reference manuals, and of course, the DX News Member Bulletin, which is filled with station information updates, domestic and international loggings, and a whole lot more. Become a member today. For more information, log on to nationalradioclub.org. That's nationalradioclub.org.
Through crashes of static in quiet hours, we listen. In languages we can scarcely understand, and of places we have only visited in our dreams, we listen. Incessantly, we perfect our array of aerials, receivers, and resources. We refine our skills and our techniques so that we might listen. We are DX Central, and we're all about radio. Visit us at dxcentralonline.com or check us out on YouTube. Search DX Central.
Keep up with DX Central. Follow us on Twitter at DX Central.
From the DX Central North Shore Studios, this is DXC Live. Now here's your host, Lloyd Van Horn.
Happy St. Patrick's Day to you all on this rainy and getting colder by the second Friday evening, at least here in the North Shore Studios in Mandeville, Louisiana, and a lot of you guys are getting cold here as well. And it's like winter's back. I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. It's supposed to be a high of 49 tomorrow here in southeast Louisiana in late March. I don't like it. I don't like it. No, we were like 85 the other day and got a nice good sweat out cutting my grass already. Not this weekend. So hopefully, I know a lot of you guys are getting cooler as we head into the weekend, but hopefully not too bad, and hopefully at least some of you have some good weather. You can see off to my southeast here, off the coast in the Gulf, we have a bunch of lightning and storms and stuff like that, so that's going to be fun this evening to work with that. Let us now go. Let me check something really quick. I don't want to. Okay, that says it. Okay. So we're gonna go ahead and do our results video from last week. For the medium wave frequency challenge, we were running 1350 to 1390. It was a good week, actually, pretty decent. I got a couple of new ones that I didn't hear. And I already have in the log already. So let's look back now, as we made our way through a pretty good chunk of the AM band there, 1350 to 1390. There's a lot there, and some of you guys did really, really, really well. I thought maybe as we get a little colder, it might be nice to have thoughts of warmer weather. Summer just around the corner. Nice blue water. Maybe take a boat out on there and a couple of cocktail drinks, you know. Sipping on those while you have a nice sunshine beating down on you. But no, we're 49 degrees and dropping right now. Actually, let me see what the temperature is right now. We get on my my weather station here. Then it's in the backyard. Let's see what the temperature is here. It is 50. We're at 50 degrees. And and dropping. Nice. Gonna be a fun weekend. But it is, yeah. I saw some of you guys mention in the chat. It is supposed to be back up in the 80s again next weekend. My new truck should be here. Pretty excited about that. My new Chevy truck should be here sometime this next week, so maybe a chance to go out and do some riding around, cruising around, open up the vent windows, and enjoy the nice weather. Yeah, hopefully. But yeah, congratulations to Barry and all of our category winners. And those who, whether you log something new or you just relog some stuff, everybody having a good time with the challenge and having fun with it. So I appreciate you guys being part of it and enjoying and participating. 20 DXers this week. That was a nice big group jumping in there to submit their loggings. All right, so we'll be doing shout outs here in a little bit. Let me go ahead and get my book ready. Not yet. Don't send them to the chat just yet. Hold on to them for just a few more minutes. We'll get to you here in just a few. But we'll be doing shout outs here. So new logs, new states, new countries, new Canadian province. Make sure you get those gathered up and ready to send over to us in the chat here in a little bit. And we'll give you guys some shout outs and saw some logs and blast the the horn of victory, as it were. That guy. All right, let's go back and let's do a little live DX here. I want to spend before we get too much further. I want to spend a few moments talking about Jaguar, because I know Barry's looking at Jaguar for his Perseus, and some other folks are also looking at or have been using it to varying degrees of success and things like that. So I want to take a few moments. So we've done this before on the stream, but I wanted to kind of circle back around here to kind of give us a lay of the land. And if you aren't DXing on a Perseus right now, that's fine. This software that we're talking about here, Jaguar, is only tethered at this moment to Perseus SDRs. I think there's talk of using some others, but they're doing some testing around that right now. But if you don't have a Perseus, I mean, it is still like, what, 700, 750, 600, depending where you get it from, how you get it, from different vendors and things like that. So it's not cheap. By any stretch of the imagination, compared to like an AirSpy or an RSP DX or something like that. But if you already have one, there's no reason. If you already have a Perseus in the shack, you absolutely should be using Jaguar if you're doing any serious AMDX. I'm going to talk about why. If you're not using a Perseus, I wasn't when I bought my when I bought the Perseus. I wanted to use Jaguar, so that's why I bought the Perseus. Was basically I paid the full price of the Perseus to get the Jaguar software because of what it could do. That was what I really was wanting, was to be able to use Jaguar. So it was worth it to me, and it's been worth it to me. For my purposes, I continue to be very happy with my purchase of buying a Perseus so I could use this software. Every DXer is different. Some folks might think it's overkill. That's fine. But if you already have a Perseus, there's no reason. Wow, that is getting straight up and down, isn't it? There's no reason that you shouldn't be using a Jaguar software at this point. So I'm going to just jump into the actual software itself. So the installation part of the Barry, you're having some issues with that, with your antivirus software and things like that. So I'm going to jump into it from the, okay, I'm in, now what? Okay, I don't have the ability just yet here to show you the install. Maybe if I can get another computer running, I'll do that and show you guys, make a video or something. But okay, I'm in, I've got it installed, I've opened it up, now what? Okay. SDR software usually looks much different. The terminology that they use is much different than what we see here in Jaguar. The folks who developed Jaguar decided to make it stand out very distinctly from other SDR software because it's made just for AM, and because it's serving this kind of niche market. They wanted it to kind of be a little bit different, and so could get a little clever and unique with some of the names of things they would call things, right? So that's one of the pieces of the learning curve that people kind of struggle with is where do I find stuff, right? How do I know where to find to change my bandwidth filter, how to change modes or things like that. So when you come in, your view may be a little different. Usually it's going to be here in your spectra, which is kind of like the traditional waterfall on an SDR piece of software. And there we go. That's what the look would look like. Now, when when you're here in the spectra, it's going to be zoomed in pretty tight on these offsets. And that was one of the original things that I wanted to really get into was offset DX. And I know you can zoom in pretty tight on a couple of different pieces of SDR software like Console and things like that. But the way that Jaguar kind of puts that front and center, they just recently added the ability to zoom out more. Actually, I think he took it out, didn't he? Might have taken it out. Yeah, they had just recently put in the feature to be able to zoom out even further and see kind of 10K off to the side, 20K or whatever, more like a traditional waterfall. But offsets are really front and center here in Jaguar. And the further you zoom in, obviously, the closer in you're getting on these offsets. And so each one of these lines that you see here on screen, the red lines, the yellow lines, blue lines, there's a yellow line over here down here at 1569.9227, things like that. Those are all traces of individual carriers that are being received at this time on my SDR. So here is one right here. And we'll look at that in a second, see if we can find out who that is. And you've got one here at roughly 995-ish, somewhere in there. And the big grouping, usually right here towards the middle around the fundamental frequency, you have a big grouping, and then you might have some off to the side up here and things like that. But really the zoom in on the waterfall piece here is on the offsets. Where that helps is in situations like this, where you have one kind of off by itself like that, you can use that and see if there are any known stations that are at that offset or right around that offset, and that can help you identify it. You can zoom in and kind of go focus in on that particular offset, like we are right now. We're at the 9216 here, and so then I can throw this in lower sideband. I can listen and then try to get some idea of the format there and see who it is that maybe I'm hearing. One of the things that will help you with that is if you click on this little slider area here, you're going to see a station list. You guys have probably seen this before when I'm DXing. And this station list is basically an export of medium wave list, essentially. And it does have, for a lot of stations, not all of them, but a lot of stations, it'll have the reported offset of that station here on the list. So 1569.92 something. Let's see if we have anything kind of in that area. Here's one, Rocky Mount, Virginia at 915. It could be potentially them, but that'd be a pretty strong signal for them. We have South America. Let's see if we have anything down here at 92 something. No, nothing reported. So I don't see anything right off the jump that's off the top of the list here that says, hey, that's probably who it is. So it might be somebody that's not reported yet, maybe. Who knows? And it's not exact. That's the only one I see that's even close. You can calibrate your display to like a frequency that has a known like dead on 0 beat on the fundamental. I use WLAC at night usually. That's pretty close to 0. I don't use WWL, which I probably should, but I think their carrier is a little off of the fundamental frequency, so that can kind of carry you off. And there's this K button right here that does the calibration, so you can pick how you want it to calibrate, and then it shifts everything based off of that. So yeah, so that's how you can kind of look at this display. And then obviously the one that I usually kind of DX out of is over here on the maps. You can see where it shows you all the stations for each frequency. You can hover over. It'll give you a little idea of the bearing of that station to your location, how far they are in kilometers, the power, things like that. The station list will give you some of that too. It'll give you the power day and night. If it's just day, or just has the same power day and night, it'll give you just the one. Most of them have format information or kind of some slogan information or other kind of programming notations over here on the right. So something like this combined with the NRC log, Tim Trump's site, Mesa mics, things like that. You could really start to kind of hone in. There are times where this list isn't completely accurate. Maybe it's missing a station or it has a station that's no longer active, things like that. Because, it's any online list is going to be, up in the air how accurate it's going to be. Some of them use FCC databases for the USC stuff, for US stuff. Some of them use more kind of crowdsourced information, but it gets you usually pretty close. To change frequency, it's right here in the middle. You have your frequency right here in the middle, so I'm at 1570. I'm just going to use my mouse scroll wheel. You can also click up and down, I think, if I remember right. You can kind of click in here. Maybe not. You definitely, I've had the best success with the mouse scroll. Well, you can also use like a trackpad up and down. If you have a trackpad, you can do that too. But I'm just going to go up and down on my scroll wheel, and it scrolls me through my frequencies. Probably the number one feature that I can say for me, I've said this so many times, but the number one feature for me is this that you see on screen. It's the DVR function. Basically, it's what I call it. It's always recording 8 minutes of the entire AM band. And so after 8 minutes, it'll go back over and start back over and overwrite that previous file. So at all times you have this buffer of time that it's recording. So if you hear an IED and you're like, wait, what did he say? And you want to rewind it and kind of zoom back forward, you can do that. You can kind of go back in, and then if you want to keep it, you hit this record button that keeps it. Which I can't tell you how many times that's saved me and gotten me an ID, where if I'm over here on my AirSpy or one of the others that don't have this feature, I hear that ID, it's gone in the past. And so if you didn't catch it, wait, what did he say? If you didn't catch it, it's gone. It's gone, like the old days, right? This is kind of like, this is DXing with an SDR the way it should be. It's allowing you to live DX the way that we DX when we're recording and then going back later and reviewing it. It gives you both worlds at once. And nobody else is doing that. And everybody should be, because it's amazing. You can zoom through files pretty quickly. You have over here, you have a rewind, previous file, next file, just like you do like an SDR console. But all I have to do is just hover over one of those, and I can either scroll my scroll wheel down, or I can scroll my scroll wheel up, and it'll go through all the files. You can set here, speaking of recordings, you can set in this Mestor area over here, you can set up how you want it to record. So right now I have it doing the entire sunrise and sunset periods here. 90 minutes out from my local sunrise. So basically minus 90 minutes from my local sunrise to 60 minutes plus of my local sunset or sunrise. And then 65 minutes prior to my local sunset and 90 minutes after my local sunset. I have it doing these so that it'll just record that entire section. You can also do things like this. You'll see you have options for this continuous, which we're doing right now. You can do long sunrise, long sunset, so it's longer periods. You can do recurring. You can do this dark tops is just the top of the hour. So you basically say starting at, I usually do it like 57 minutes after the hour to about 07 after the hour. And then I say like, let's do from 90 minutes before sunset to... let's do an hour after sunrise. And all it's going to do is this top of the hour period from 57 to 07 after the hour, just during that period, overnight, and then sunset, sunrise. And then you hit save, and that would save the recording in there. I'm just doing the sunset, sunrise here in February and March, but I will be going back to that last one I just showed you when we get out of into April. You can also do things like you can change your attenuation. Here's this dark box is bottom of the hour, so you can do the same thing that we just talked about at the top of the hour, but at the bottom of the hour. You can change your attenuation, which is what you see I have here. Because I'm in an area that has a lot of high-powered radio stations, I have to attenuate my Perseus down 10 dB, otherwise I get overload. So that's what me doing that here. I always make sure that that's set to attenuation of 1 before it starts as recordings. So yeah, that's how you can set those recordings up, and then it just runs. And then I've got terabytes and terabytes and terabytes of recordings that are here. You'll see down here at the bottom where it's recording right now in red, you have a little marker here that's going along. See this little green arrow right here? that tells me that's bottom of the hour. That's the 30-minute mark. And you have the same thing for the top of the hour. So you can very easily go to that point on your recordings and know, okay, I'm going to back up just a little bit from this little arrow, and that gives me a chance to hear like the last minute of the hour and then into the top of the hour. So you can do like that. You also have these little lines here. You'll see these little green lines. You can change the color, as you can probably imagine. There's blue, there's gray. There's my default, which is yellow. I usually use that. We're just doing green to be festive. But these lines right here, anytime you see a line right here, those are frequencies. So you can also change frequencies this way. So you can click on any of those, and this will jump right to 880, for instance. Now I'm going to jump to 1030, and I'm going to jump to 640. So you can jump to those frequencies very quickly. If you want to A-B a frequency, like let's say I want to A-B between 890 and 640, because I'm checking to see if I have a progresso, then there's a little button down here I can click on. Looks like two parallel lines. It says, if you hover over, it says compare. And then I can just click here in this white box right here, and that'll bounce back and forth between 640 and 890. Really, really, really helpful for those Cubans that are running on a lot of the networks on multiple frequencies, so you can parallel. I saw Bart ask a question in the chat. Why is it exclusive to Perseus? That's just how the developers chose it, based on the frequency accuracy and other factors as well of the performance of the Perseus. Right now, that's the only one that they feel gives you what they're looking for as far as the specs that are needed to run the program. You also, another thing you'll hear people talk about with Jaguar is the audio filtering. I did not really think it would make that much of a difference, but holy crap, does it make a difference. I'm going to run one right now in what's called stock, and so this is without any filtering whatsoever. So there we go.
Sort of struggled early and have kind of found a groove.
All right, so there you hear the audio there. Now I'm going to change it to one of the ones that I use on a regular basis, Calliope. You see how much smoother that is? Let me go back and forth and compare again here. The balance back and forth between Calliope and stock.
The thing to do is the left-handed hit. Especially as you mentioned, he falls off so far to his right side. Leaves a lot of space open. Line to easily get a base hit.
So there's that. I mean, that shows you the difference in audio quality. And there have been many times where I have tested this out and I've recorded the same band, portion of the band on two different SDRs, one Jaguar Perseus, one of the others that I have. And I'll do a comparison, and there are times where I've heard an ID in that Perseus Jaguar recording that was not there on the other SDR using the same antenna, right? I split out my antenna to be in both of them, and it wasn't there. And it helps pull out those. It's maximized for the AM band. You can also click on this audio link right here, this little button, and it gives you different things in here, so you can kind of contort it. I haven't played around with this a whole lot. I have not found the need to, but I know some DXers that will. They'll come in here and they'll play around with the filtering of the audio itself. I don't really do a whole lot of that because I just haven't had the need. Maybe I'm sure it might help if I was doing more like exotic stuff like Tim Trumpets or those guys trying to hear stations out of, down under and things like that. But for my use for domestic stuff, largely domestic stuff, maybe some Latin American stuff, it hasn't been necessary. What I do use from time to time is this over here is the bandwidth, this BW right here. So if I hit my right mouse button, if I click on that, I'm going down in bandwidth. I'm getting tighter. If I click on the left, I'm getting wider. So I'll show you here what it sounds like. We can get all the way down to 1 kilohertz. And up. I usually leave it around 3.1-ish, 3.2-ish, somewhere in there. You can go over here is the button for lower sideband, upper sideband. If you want to use AM mode, you can do that. It's just one of these audio filters, so now I'm in AM mode. and now I'm back in Calliope. With Calliope, there's another one called Jazz. You're doing an upper or lower sideband. AM is just by itself. They also have the ability, you can use these right here, this bass, steep, and studio. The bass is where I usually keep it, but if you want to take that filtering, when you're filtering your bandwidth, you can actually shape the contour of that filter to make it more steep, more structured in there. And that will give you a tighter filter where you can have that 3 kind of be more loose, or the 2 or whatever it is you have it set at. So that's how I usually kind of play with those. The other things that I use commonly, after a while, if you aren't doing anything with it, you'll see it kind of disappear like this, and you're like, hey, where did my Jaguar go? It's up here. You just click on the red X and it comes back up. That's one that got me for a while. I was like, what the hell? There are some other things that people will use from time to time. This YAS log is one of them. You'll see them use this to look over time at the band and see where signals might be in there. I don't play with it a whole lot. Again, I'm not doing a whole lot of stuff that's not North and South America. But if I was doing more like transoceanic and stuff, I would. Which also reminds me, over here on the far left, if you see this little 10 that's highlighted right here, you click on that, that switches you from 10 kilohertz spacing now to 9. And you'll see these over here, like this one right here at 927. You see how it disappeared? It was a line before, now it's gone. You may see it pop back up again. You'll see some of these that are kind of popping up here. These are that little line that I was kind of showing you before, where we have like here, these are the ones where it overlaps 9 and 10 kilohertz spacing. But the ones in between, if you see those popping up, those are ones where there is a signal there, perhaps. Sometimes it's just splatter from the adjacent channel, but sometimes it's actually like here, I'm gonna go to 675. Actually, it's probably not a good one. Let's do 774. So if I click on it and I go to it, you would, if there was a line here, you would see a carrier signal right here in the middle. You'd see it on your spectra too. You'd actually see a carrier here, and that's how you can actually see. If you look here, you can see very easily, are there any transoceanics coming in? Anything transatlantic, transpacific? Is there anything worth spending my time at? If you see consistently those signals kind of sitting there in between, maybe you have a bit of an opening going on. I did this when I was in Charleston quite a bit, and I can actually try to show you guys on some Charleston recordings if I find one that's pointing in that direction. You would actually see the carriers in between. You'd actually see those on there. So it makes it a lot easier for you to know, do I need to spend some time looking for them, or is it not even worth my time? You don't have to sit there and listen for it. You can see it on the display. Some other things that I do here. Go back to in North America here on, oops. Get back out of 9. You can use these to actually submit. If you hear a station, you can actually submit the log, and you can actually submit that to a medium wave list, and that's how you can like populate your map on medium wave list. So you can do that. Those are the main things that I use. I know there's other things you can do where you can actually scan your recordings and look for stuff and let you know, hey, here's a signal you may want to check out and things like that. And some of the DXs, especially in Europe, use that for looking for DX over here. But over here in America, it's always going to find something because we have so many stations. So it's a little, I don't use it as much as some of the European DXers do, but I know some folks who might use that for transoceanic, transatlantic stuff, transpacific. And if you're a hardcore Jaguar aficionado using all the features and stuff, feel free to share in the chat what you're using, and talk about that there, because I don't use everything. I just kind of use what's worked for me. One thing I did want to mention, I think some of you guys were looking for how to update. Like, I think Jeff, maybe you were the one that was saying you would download the file and then reinstall every time. All you have to actually do is hit this little star over here. It's for version. It'll tell you what version you have installed, and which one, or what the latest version is, and if you want to install that or not. So I have this version 9 from January 17th installed right now. It's the last stable version. That's the one that I have right now. Sometimes I'll install the test version, sometimes I don't, because they're kind of working out the kinks. But you can get the details of it if you want to. Click on the details button, and it actually brings up the website with all the different information on kind of what they have in place. And then you can install it directly in the software if you want to, or you can leave it like I did and not. install. So it's really up to you, whatever you want to, how you want to use it. Those are the main things, that I use. Again, if you're a hardcore Jaguar aficionado and you use some features that I didn't talk about, feel free to share those in the chat with the rest of the group. But those are the main things that I use. Muting, by the way, in case you didn't notice, there's this pause button right here in the middle. That's what I use to mute. So if you're like, I just need a second here to mute that, that's how you do it. And that's it. You have to have a Perseus serial number, and you have to get the key from the developers, IPA and the folks who develop Jaguar. You have to get a key from them, and so you email them and you pay them out. Once they get the payment in, and you have your serial number and everything, then you get your key and you're good to go. And you install that in, and you would see that when you first pull up. I think it is. Not that one. Not that one. Nope, not that one. There's one that pops up. I forget where it is. Whenever you first log in, when you first bring up, let me actually show you here. I'll just do that. A little easier. When you first bring it up, it has this little dialog box that has your details in it. It tells you what build you're using. All this kind of stuff, right? It tells you your what antenna you're on, what hardware you're using, if it's connected or not, your identity, your key, all that kind of stuff. So all that stuff's going to show you there when you first get in. So if you have any issues, that's where you can plug those in to make sure everything's working. So yeah, that's it. That's Jaguar in a nutshell. It's made for AMDX and has all the tools for an AMDXer right there that you need. There have been times where I'll do an entire DX session reviewing all my recordings and never leave the Jaguar interface except to log what I've heard in my logbook. That's it. That's only the reason I would leave is to go put it in my logbook. Everything else I need, the station list, everything is in there. Sometimes, like I said, you'll have to go to other sources to get the information, but pretty much it's all right there. All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, more live DX is on the way. Of course, we got our next top of the hour coming up here in a few moments. We're going to announce our new frequencies of the week. We got shout outs. Don't think I forgot about that. So make sure you get your stuff gathered. I'll be looking for those here in just a few moments. More DX Central Lives coming up right after this.
DX Central, because we're all about radio. Visit us at dxcentralonline.com or check us out on YouTube. Search DX Central. DX Central Live is brought to you in part by...
From the pages of its DX Monitor member bulletin, members of the International Radio Club of America share their domestic and international AMDX loggings. In its Mexican log, a wealth of information can be found of stations from south of the border. Technical guides, sunrise, sunset maps, and more make the IRCA a must-join for any AMDXer. For more information, log on to ircaonline.org. That's ircaonline.org. While the HF bands can be filled with entertaining and intriguing transmissions, how do you know when and where to look? Let Teague Publishing's Global Radio Guide lead the way. In addition to its exhaustive list of time and frequency for international broadcasters, radio hobby icon Gail Van Horn brings you equipment reviews, an SDR buyer's guide, feature articles, and more. Pick up your copy today. Visit teaguepublishing.com for more information. That's teaguepublishing.com. Since 1933, the National Radio Club has been serving AMDXers while providing some of the most in-depth information in the hobby. From the annual NRC AM log, a must-have reference for domestic station information, to antenna design reference manuals, and of course, the DX News member bulletin, which is filled with station information updates, domestic and international loggings, and a whole lot more. Become a member today. For more information, log on to nationalradioclub.org. That's nationalradioclub.org.
Through crashes of static in quiet hours, we listen. in languages we can scarcely understand, and of places we have only visited in our dreams. We listen. Incessantly, we perfect our array of aerials, receivers, and resources. We refine our skills and our techniques so that we might listen. We are DX Central, and we're all about radio. Visit us at dxcentralonline.com or check us out on YouTube. Search DX Central.
Keep up with DX Central. Follow us on Twitter at DX Central.
From the DX Central North Shore Studios, this is DXC Live. Now here's your host, Lloyd Van Horn.
It's DX Central Live from the North Shore Studios here in Mandeville, Louisiana. My friends, good evening and welcome. Hopefully you're having a great evening. Happy St. Patrick's to you. Again, Slancha. So get those shout outs ready. We're going to be writing them down here in a few moments. New logs, new states, new countries. We'll get those shout outs in here probably after the top of this hour. But let's go ahead and finish up. We'll finish up some DX here on 560 because we did 1570 at the top of the hour last. We'll do 560 here, taking us into the next hour. And then we'll announce our new frequencies right before the top of the hour. The new blog post will be up on our website here at about 7:55 local time, which is oh, of course it did. Oh man, oh, love this thing. There we go. How about that? DXCentralOnline.com. That's where you want to go for the blog post. That'll have here in about 8 minutes or so. The link for this week's Google form, the new frequencies, the results from last week, and more. So make sure you check that out. Again, that is dxcentralonline.com. Yeah, so get those shout outs over here into the chat. We'll get you in and make sure everybody is aware of the cool stuff that you heard this week. Let's go back to 560, and we'll continue to DX there for a little bit before we do our announcement of the new frequencies of the And I haven't, Jeff, I haven't played with Voyager a whole lot. I probably should. I just haven't played with it a whole lot yet, but I understand it's pretty groovy, so I'm probably not using 90% of the cool stuff in Jaguar that everyone else is like, dude, you're not using that. You got to start doing that right now. It's going to change your life, and it probably will. I just haven't had a chance to yet. So there we go, right? I don't even know where it's at. Like, I know you have to do the scan. Yeah, go ahead. Shout out time. Trying to dial in a little vactrol blocking on the back side here because the antenna's pointing west, So I'm trying to get a little vactrol blocking out some of that static crash that's to my east, but it's still so close it just doesn't matter. I've got Bill, I've got Haley, I've got David. Get your shout-outs over if you got anything. Doesn't have to be from the challenge frequencies. Anything, new log, new state, new country, new Canadian province. I've got Bill. Let me mute for a second. I got Bill, I've got Haley, I've got David, I've got Troy. I've got David Flott. I've got Carl D. And I've got Dennis Flotman. Sorry, not Flott. Flotman. I just read what I saw in my notes here. If I didn't call your name out, no worries. We're going to circle back around here at the top of the hour and get you in here as well before we do our announcing of the shout-outs. But I did want to go ahead and announce our frequencies of the week. For week 20 of the medium wave frequency challenge. Let's go ahead and do it. Well, that's not going to work because we aren't looking at it on screen here, are we? Now let's try it. Medium wave frequency challenge. Let's go. $900 and $990. Neither one of those are going to be very friendly for me. Well, especially $990. It won't be very friendly for me here. 900 with the station down to Mexico is going to be pretty challenging, but it's going to be worth it. These are both 9 kilohertz and 10 kilohertz frequencies, one of those where they overlap. So our friends abroad also can still play along. 900 and 990, that's where we're going to be spending our time this week. Let's go ahead and I already got the top of the hour alert light going on here behind me, but let's go ahead and take a look. 990, I can go ahead and tell you, is going to be a local here in New Orleans to be GSO. Let's take a look and see what we have here on 900 as well. Let's start with 990.
Red ale, Killian's Red.
So there's my local.
Alternately, a raspberry lambic top with Guinness.
On 990. Talking about Guinness, all right, nice.
That sounds great.
And now let's go to 900. Actually, not Mexico tonight. So those would be the two frequencies that we're spending our time on this week, 900, 990. Hopefully they treat you well. Let me look and see. 900 has a station up in Nebraska, a little off from the Omaha area. Okay, Rick, you should be good this week. Let me see. Michigan. I think Bill, you should be good this week too. All right, you guys hopefully don't have too many stations in your neck of the woods. I know it's usually one of the two. It's usually either Bill or Rick. Whatever frequency I pick, they're like, "Oh, come on, man, you're killing me." So glad to see we got an open frequency here for you for the most part on 900, 990. So let's spend some time on 900 real quick before we get top of the hour. I actually have a non-Mexico here. That's nice.
Gets this power to say a magic word and become an adult-looking superhero, and that's incredible. And the fact that all the kids then have this power to go and do that is very empowering to the kids, and it's supposed to not be a bad thing. It's
oh yeah, there is a Cuban down there, isn't there?
Learn lessons in life, but all kids need to do that.
Right. Top of the hour time. Let's go over here to the Air Spy HF Plus Discovery. We're looking northeast southwest, 900K. Nicely done, Bill. Keeping with the theme.
Louisiana is this beautiful natural land.
We have to do some phasing this week. Blog post should be up now. And I'm gonna leave the week 19 up for a while since some of you guys are having issues. I'll leave that Google form up for a bit longer.
No terminan a tenerlo porque acuérdate que hubo un disco de YouTube que tenías tu iPod, te lo comprabas, te lo... Sí, lo conectabas y tenía un disco que no puedes borrar nunca y la vas a bastante. Sí, ayer lo platicamos un poco con Alejandro Grande, que hay muchos fans.
I'm assuming this is Mexico.
Mi posición es buena.
Doble.
Pues bueno, ahí está, para que le den un vistazo, está muy simpático, hay un momento muy lindo con la canción que estamos escuchando de fondo de voces, varios de los precisamente comentaremos, oye, se le va en la noche, porque es hermano de un David Letterman, que le compone una canción de un...
Oh, yeah, Bill, you're right.
Ahí lo verán, muy disfrutable,
I still got you this week. I missed that one when I was looking at the map. All right, so that's W Radio out of Mexico, Mexico City, Distrito Federal. Let's go over here and swap over to the Perseus Jaguar combo, and let's see what we have here from the top of the hour, shall we? What did we catch?
Hay que ir por una Guinness, ¿no? Tenemos razón, no somos irlandeses.
Esa me encanta,
Está cantar. Claro que sí. Y poner llegando a casa o también con el...
You and me both this week, on the same frequency, actually. Mr. Bill.
De la banda YouTube, la canción de...
In fact, we'll here after this, after we do our next break here, we'll come back in and do some phasing and see if we can get rid of our local here on 990 and see what might be there underneath. I don't have a lot on 990, which was part of the impetus of me wanting to use the frequency this week, but maybe we'll get something. And it sounds like here on the Perseus we also had XCW.
Y ¿por qué le hicieron así? Porque se les ocurrió en la época de pandemia de 40 y consultar la información más relevante en usuarios.
See how much clearer that is than what we had on the AirSpy? Now, I'm not saying the AirSpy sounds bad. It doesn't sound bad at all. And yes, this is a different antenna. Now, the one on the AirSpy was pointing right at Mexico. This one's off to the west, so it's pointing north of Mexico. But still, it just the Jaguar software audio filtering is just so good. It pulls those signals out. The static so much better. recognize them. I mean, we're pointing right at them on the Air Spy. And here's the audio. And then here's the audio with it pointing north of them. So clear. There's something in that audio filtering that they have here in Jaguar it's unlike anything else that's on the market. So I'm a big fan. There we go. Let's go ahead and take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to do our shout-outs. I've got a handful of here right now. If you have a shout-out that you want to get in, make sure you let me know in the chat. So far, I've got Bill, Haley, I've got David Pete, I've got Troy, I've got David Flotman, I've got Carl D, and I've got Dennis. If I didn't call your name and you have a shout-out, send it over in the chat now, and we'll get you in here when we come back with more DX Central Live right after this, so don't go anywhere.
DX Central, because we're all about radio. Visit us at dxcentralonline.com or check us out on YouTube. Search DX Central. DX Central Live is brought to you in part by...
From the pages of its DX Monitor member bulletin, members of the International Radio Club of America share their domestic and international AM/DX loggings. In its Mexican log, a wealth of information can be found of stations from south of the border. Technical guides, sunrise, sunset maps, and more make the IRCA a must-join for any AM/DXer. For more information, log on to ircaonline.org. That's ircaonline.org. While the HF bands can be filled with entertaining and intriguing transmissions, how do you know when and where to look? Let Teague Publishing's Global Radio Guide lead the way. In addition to its exhaustive list of time and frequency for international broadcasters, radio hobby icon Gail Van Horn brings you equipment reviews, an SDR buyer's guide, feature articles, and more. Pick up your copy today. Visit teaguepublishing.com for more information. That's teaguepublishing.com. Since 1933, the National Radio Club has been serving AM/DXers while providing some of the most in-depth information in the hobby. From the annual NRC AM log, a must-have reference for domestic station information, to antenna design reference manuals, and of course, the DX News member bulletin, which is filled with station information updates, domestic and international loggings, and a whole lot more. Become a member today. For more information, log on to nationalradioclub.org. That's nationalradioclub.org.
Through crashes of static in quiet hours, we listen. In languages we can scarcely understand, and of places we have only visited in our dreams, we listen. Incessantly, we perfect our array of aerials, receivers, and resources. We refine our skills and our techniques so that we might listen. We are DX Central, and we're all about radio. Visit us at dxcentralonline.com or check us out on YouTube. Search DX Central.
Keep up with DX Central. Follow us on Twitter at DX Central.
From the DX Central North Shore Studios, this is DXC Live. Now here's your host, Lloyd Van Horn.
It's DX Central Live from the North Shore Studios here in Mandeville, Louisiana. Good evening, my friends. and welcome to another night of Live DX. So we have some shout-outs to get to here in a few moments. Again, if you didn't get yours in yet, if you didn't hear your name called a few moments ago, go ahead and send them over in the chat. We'll get you in here. But before we do that, I want to do a quick little experiment here on 990 because I've been chasing CBW. I don't know how long. I need Manitoba. It's one of the provinces I do not have from Mandeville. I've got Saskatchewan. I've got Ontario. I've got Alberta. Don't have Manitoba. So I've been chasing Manitoba on multiple different frequencies for a while now. 990 is one of those, but I have to do a little work to get where I can try to get to it because of my local on the frequency. So let us go now to the Perseus. Let us go now to our phaser and see if we can get rid of the local enough to be able to maybe hear something out of CBW. And those of you who are hearing CBW on 990, let me know if you think we are having little snippets of them in our audio. You ready? And while we're doing this, we'll get this done, we get the local phased out, then we'll come over here and do shout-outs.
There's a documentary there, and it's because if any of these people go to the bank and they say, hey, look, I wired $5,000 last week to Aria DeMezzo, and, you know, in hindsight, I wish I had done that, so I want my money back. The bank's just going to reach in and take that $5,000 and send it back to them. And if that happens even once, you're suddenly out $12,000. I was never selling enough tickets where I could withstand a $12,000 hit or a $5,000 hit. So you did not
All right. For the most part, we may have to tweak it as we go along. Sometimes you get a mixture of sky and ground wave, so we may have to tweak it as we go. But there we have them phased out now. So let's go ahead and sit on the frequency. Again, send me your shout-outs. If I don't call your name here, I don't have it yet, so make sure you get yours in. I got Bill, I got Haley, I've got David Pete, I've got Troy, I've got David Flodman, I've got Carl D, and I've got Dennis. Anybody else? Get your shout-outs. New logs, new countries, new states, and new Canadian provinces. Get in. I got you in there, Mr. Mike. Woo-hoo, Mike! Tearing it up this week. Crazy how the upper sideband's so much easier than that lower sideband was. Again, as a reminder, here's my local.
It actually hurt them. Yeah, like,
so let's get rid of it. We have a little bit of them in here now. Let's get rid of it.
they have
There we go. All right, let's go ahead and pause here for a moment. And let's do our shout-outs. It's getting colder. Need some firewood. Time to do some chopping. All right. Let me start with, I'm just going to go down from the top of the list on down. Let's start with Mr. Bill. 8 new ones, all on 1570. That's awesome. And now he's only 22 away from hitting 1,000. 22 more, and he'll hit 1,000 loggings in his logbook. Congratulations, my friend Bill. Thousand logs, man. That's awesome. That is awesome. And 8 on one frequency. Isn't that great when you get one of those little bursts like that? Haley in Arkansas got a new one this week. WTRB 1570. Good job, Haley. All right. David, move my finger over here to the next button. We have 2 shout outs here for David. David Pete up in Maine. Okay. Think about that for a second. Maine. Got a new state. Wisconsin. From Maine. And got a new country from Maine. Cuba. Very nice, my friend. Good job. Let's stamp your passport here. Let's find us a blank page. That one over there. No, let's get you one over here on the right now. And yep, all right, that's a good one. Let's go ahead and stamp that sucker. Good to go. Oh, congratulations, David. New state and new country from the state of Maine. Troy got a new one this week. WBGZ on 1570. Good job, Troy. David Flotman got a new one on 1570. I can't read my own handwriting. It's KMCD, I think it was. Out of the state of Iowa for a new log. Good job, David. Before, what was a couple years ago was the first time that a 16 seat beat a 1 seed. Before that happened, the closest that it ever came to happening was my alma mater, Western Carolina University, almost knocking off Purdue. That was 1996, I think. Yep, almost knocked off Purdue. That was the closest it ever come until a couple years ago when it finally happened for real. Carl D. 8 new ones, 2 of those on medium wave frequency challenge frequencies, including some from the North Carolina most log state. I think Dennis also had some from North Carolina this week. Good job. That puts Carl at 521 stations logged. Good job, Carl. Speaking of Dennis, 4 new ones this week, including 3 of those on the frequency challenge. I know Dennis just dropped out, but we're going to pat him on the back anyway. Good job, Dennis! And And finally, not finally, we have two more. Earl, KPUR Amarillo 1440, and got the Pirate up on 1720 to be DOG. Good job, Earl. All right. And this one is actually very, very... Both of these are very impressive, actually. Not that the rest of you guys aren't impressive, because they all are, but this one is really, really awesome. Mike, down in Mexico, got a new state for state number 33 on 1640. Got Wisconsin. Good job, man. From Mexico, got Wisconsin. That's awesome! Take care, Dennis. We'll see you, my friend. And also, Mike got a new one on 1340 BTAN in Florida. Why is that a special deal? Because that is a graveyard record for Mike. It's a graveyard frequency, 1340, 1,219 miles on a graveyard frequency. What? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So if you have a shout out, you didn't hear your name called, no worries. We got some time in here a little bit this hour later on, maybe next hour to get those next round of shout outs in. We'll do ours this week as well. We heard a couple of new stations this week, which was kind of fun. Let's go back to the DX. We got 990 we're sitting on. Our frequencies of the week, 900 and 990. We're sitting on 990 right now, where I have a local station. So 900, we already heard XEW out of Mexico City, which was awesome. 990, we have our local to be GSO here in New Orleans, and I've gotten them phased out. We may have to tweak it a little bit because they do kind of, phase will change and things like that. So we'll tweak it maybe, but we got them phased out to see if we can hear anything underneath them. Hopefully, CBW up in Manitoba. That's the goal this week. That's what I'm shooting for here. So let's go ahead and take a look now and fire up the Perseus and see what's there. And we got the two Kaz's phase. Let's go. So we got them out. They're gone. The local.
I would immediately cite 3 sections from Article 1 of the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Take care, Stephanie. Thank you for being here as always. That's a new one. Did you guys hear that? That's a new one. Very cool. That's a new one here. WMYM out of Kendall, Florida. Had not heard them here before. So we're gonna put them in the logbook here, and why not? That puts me at what, 681 now? 82, 682. 682 from Mandeville. Let me make sure I got that right. Yep, 682 from Mandeville. Very nice. On a frequency where I've got a local. Good night, Haley.
Firing upon the 17-year-old.
Lucinda Williams Songcrest. I don't. I'll have to look it up here.
Esta suma equivaldría a unos 10.36
Yeah, that the CCC, the Crescent City Connection, used to be called the Greater New Orleans Bridge, and then they built the second one, and they decided, oh, we should probably rename this now that we have two bridges, and so they did a contest, but like a thing in the newspaper where people could name it, and CCC was chosen. Crescent City. That was right after we got to New Orleans. That's when that happened. So for years, I even still called it the GNO, Greater New Orleans Bridge, GNO. Let's look this up really quick. Name checks Mandeville, huh? City. Lucinda Williams. Here we go. I'm not gonna play it over the air because I don't want to hit that copyright thing, but I want to. All right, I'm gonna play this real quick, listen to it, and we'll let this 990 go.
Fue interpretado en agua internacional. Otra noticia que ustedes deben de conocer. El expresidente Pence atacó duramente al presidente Trump, acusándolo de... Al parecer, en su mente fuera de control, él cree que era la solución del Partido Republicano. Pero qué lástima, porque su campaña todavía no pasa del 4%. Entonces el señor no sabe qué hacer, sino es atacar a quién, a Trump. ¿Sabían ustedes que en lo referente al 6 de enero?
That's awesome. Mama lives in Mandeville. A lot of people. I've come to learn over the last couple of years since we moved back. I've come to learn Coach O from LSU when he was coaching at LSU lived in Mandeville. Dr. John lived in Mandeville, the famous musician. Rest in peace. Coach Payton for a while lived in Mandeville when he was first coaching the Saints. A lot of the people that you'll see on TV and things like that in the area, they all live in Mandeville. So it's a great little town. I don't want the word to get out and spoil it because then everyone's going to want to move here. But it's a great town. It really is. I like Mandeville quite a bit. Yeah, I mean, it's not a short drive over that bridge. It seems like it's a lot. It is kind of short. I mean, it's only 30 minutes. And you're in the city. And, or you can be in the suburbs out in Metairie, Kenner, things like that. Go to the airport. You're about 30, 45 minutes from the house till, you park and you're at your gate or whatever. It's not too bad. It's not bad at all. So, yeah, I'm a big fan of Mandeville. Pretty cool that it got name checked. That's awesome. We saw that, Tom. How you feeling, buddy? Oh, man, that's no bueno. Sorry about that, man, my friend. Well, if there's any consolation, it's the perfect night for the liquid memory eraser. Perfect night for you to have to get a good stiff drink. When we lived on the West Bank, I've told the story many times. I don't know if I mentioned it here, but we could actually listen from the front yard of my house when I was a kid. You could hear the calliope on the steamboat Natchez. We were that close to downtown from where I lived. You could actually hear the steamboat Natchez calliope. Sometimes pretty loudly. If the weather was right, you could actually hear it from our house in our front yard. Remember one time there was a tornado, a water spout that went over the river, and I was out in my front yard like, oh, there it is. And they had it on TV. It was pretty crazy. So, yeah, a lot of good memories in this town. I'm really glad that I was finally able to make it back.
Era una novela de Cuba. Por favor, vamos en serio. Estamos en una situación difícil. Hemos perdido el apoyo del Medio Oriente. Nuestra política de comprar petróleo a los operadores ha puesto el gobierno de Arabia Saudita contra los Estados Unidos y por otro lado Israel sabe que los haya.
I'm going to assume that the Spanish station is most likely XET Latte Grande. Or is it Latte? Mike? I don't remember. I'm assuming that's who that is here. Could be Guama down in Cuba. Could be them. 25 kilowatts. That's a pretty good signal. But Monterey is so close here. Line of sight wise from New Orleans. Just basically the Gulf between us. A little bit of land on both sides, but mostly just the Gulf between us. So a lot of salt water in there to keep that signal moving. Yeah, I figured it was. It's been a while since I did my Spanish alphabet.
Y mi hermano, pastor, yo me quedé
do really quick. We're going to take a break here in a second, but before we do, I want to jump over here to our DXC tweet of the week. Shall we do that? I forgot to do it last week.
It's time for the DX Central Live hashtag tweet of the week. Tweet. Tweet, tweet.
All right, here's our DXC tweet of the week. This one comes from our friend John over in Ireland, appropriately. EI7GL is his ham radio call. He has his finger on the pulse of these really exotic DX catches, and he noted a DX catch that occurred from Chile. A DXer in Chile hearing WMIA in Miami, Florida on 93.9 megahertz. Trans-Equatorial FMDX on February 23rd. Trans-Equatorial FMDX. We've been having some trans-equatorial 6-meter DX going on lately. I saw Ecuador. I've seen Argentina, Chile, Peru. Haven't had a chance to work a whole lot of them yet. Got to do some work on my antenna, but might do that this weekend when it's cold, actually. But did hear them coming in. Just didn't get back to working in them. But hadn't seen anything FM-wise. Trans-Equatorial FMDX. That's tops right there. Chile to Miami. There's your DXC tweet of the week.
It's time for the DX Central Live hashtag tweet of the week. Tweet. Tweet, tweet.
Oh, man. I am jealous beyond belief. If I had trans-equatorial DX from here in Mandeville down into South America, I would lose it. You wouldn't be able to talk to me. I'd be up on cloud 9 for a week. Let's do a quick break. When we come back, we're going to have a little bit more DX. We got top of the hour coming up, and we'll do some more sitting here on 990 and see if we hear anything else. There's a couple stations in there duking it out, so I want to give those a chance to kind of come to fruition. So don't go anywhere. More live DX is on the way right here on DX Central Live.
DX Central, because we're all about radio. Visit us at dxcentralonline.com or check us out on YouTube. Search DX Central. DX Central Live is brought to you in part by...
From the pages of its DX Monitor member bulletin, members of the International Radio Club of America share their domestic and international AMDX loggings. In its Mexican log, a wealth of information can be found of stations from south of the border. Technical guides, sunrise, sunset maps, and more make the IRCA a must-join for any AMDXer. For more information, log on to ircaonline.org. That's ircaonline.org. While the HF bands can be filled with entertaining and intriguing transmissions, how do you know when and where to look? Let Teague Publishing's Global Radio Guide lead the way. In addition to its exhaustive list of time and frequency for international broadcasters, radio hobby icon Gail Van Horn brings you equipment reviews, an SDR buyer's guide, feature articles, and more. Pick up your copy today. Visit teaguepublishing.com for more information. That's teaguepublishing.com. Since 1933, the National Radio Club has been serving AMDXers while providing some of the most in-depth information in the hobby. From the annual NRC AM log, a must-have reference for domestic station information, to antenna design reference manuals, and of course, the DX News member bulletin, which is filled with station information updates, domestic and international loggings, and a whole lot more. Become a member today. For more information, log on to nationalradioclub.org. That's nationalradioclub.org.
Through crashes of static in quiet hours, we listen. In languages we can scarcely understand, and of places we have only visited in our dreams, we listen. Incessantly, we perfect our array of aerials, receivers, and resources. We refine our skills and our techniques so that we might listen. We are DX Central, and we're all about radio. Visit us at dxcentralonline.com or check us out on YouTube. Search DX Central.
Keep up with DX Central. Follow us on Twitter at DX Central.
From the DX Central North Shore Studios, this is DXC Live. Now here's your host, Lloyd Van Horn.
It's DX Central Live from the North Shore Studios here in Mandeville, Louisiana. Good evening, my friends. We're wrapping up here pretty soon. Got our next top of the hour coming up, and then we'll wrap up after that and get ready to go about our weekend. It's going to be chilly here in New Orleans. A lot chillier than it should be. Hopefully, maybe some antenna projects on deck. I think I might be able to squeeze out a couple antenna projects while it's a little bit cooler. And hopefully, wherever you are, you might have a great radio weekend. You deserve it. You deserve to be able to kick back and let the radio waves come to you, my friends. So spend some time behind the dials if you can. We're sitting on 990, our two frequencies of the week this week for the frequency challenge, 900 and 990 kilohertz. We're sitting on 990 right now, where we do have a local station here in the New Orleans area, but I've got them face out. And we've heard WMYM in Kendall, Florida, in their absence. We've also heard XET out of Monterrey, Monterrey, Mexico is in there. We're searching for CBW out of Manitoba. Haven't heard him yet, but we got time. Maybe I'll turn that west Cas and face it north and see if we can get him that way. So let's go back over here to our Perseus Jaguar combo. And we're getting ready for our last top of the hour of the night in a few moments. But first, let's see if we got anything else here on 990 that we can pull in. If you do have any more shout-outs, by the way, if you've got any new logs, new states, new countries that you haven't got in yet, let us know. We'll do one last round here at the top of the hour before we adjourn. So get those in the chat now and let us know what you heard. Here we go. It's the beard, and I'm kind of short. He's making fun of me for being short. And my green shirt, very green. I'm all out of Guinness though. At least that can.
Brought up that the and the amount that was withdrawn.
Oh yeah, we gotta get Tom's Rhode Island in here. I got you in there now, Tom. Yeah, despite the Van Horn surname here, on my mom's side, Hennington, there was a bunch of Irish over there as well. Delays, McQuicks, a bunch of others. I think my DNA is like between Ireland and England. It's or UK, Wales, and whatnot. I think it's like 70% British Isles, Ireland, and UK. So this is Mardi Gras is still my absolute favorite holiday, but St. Patrick's is probably second favorite, maybe right behind Mardi Gras. July 4th is in there as well. I love July 4th. I love the heat. I love the grilling. I love sitting out in the pool drinking. That's always fun. But St. Patrick's is right up there. One of my favorite holidays, favorite times of the year. So hence the extra little theme tonight. Nice one, Rick. Still some static lingering around a little bit. All right, for the last time, here we go. So we got two Spanish stations in here. thought I heard another ID in there, but I guess not. I did hear a couple things in there that hour. I heard WMYM in Kendall, Florida, again, with mentions of Miami. There was an ID in there for WTLN out of Orlando, mentioning AM 990 101.5 FM. And we also had XET out of Monterrey, Mexico, as you guys heard in there, with their WUs. The only one, there was another Spanish station in there that could have been Guama, Radio Guama out of Cuba. I'll have to do some more listening there to see. And I thought I heard a call sign ending in like C or Z or something like that, but I don't know. I'll have to go back and re-listen to it again, see if maybe we caught something, or if not, whatever. All right, so let's do one last round of shout-outs here. And then, and we're gonna call it a night. I got one in this time from you guys. Got most everybody else in. If we missed you this week, don't worry, we get you in next week. Not a worry. Tom here. I think it was like 3 nights in a row, wasn't it? It'd be ADK 1540 out of Rhode Island for a new station. Not a new state, but a new station for him. So, my friend, you get there you go. Just a real quick look at ours. I mean, we didn't have anything too extravagant this week, nothing super fancy. But what did I get? I got we heard the one we got tonight, WMYM out of Florida. Other than that, did hear to be KJW 1010 Black Mountain, my old stomping grounds up around Nashville. Got them this week. Finally got a couple others here. The XCT. I was going back doing some reviewing of the recordings. The XCT out of Chattanooga. Also close to my old stomping grounds over in Western North Carolina. Heard them. Radio Artemisa on 1000. Believe it or not, I hadn't logged him here yet. Didn't realize that, but got him now. Radio Artemisa 1000 is in the log. You guys saw this one. A lot of you did. 770 WVNN Athens, Alabama. They were on late one night here this week on the 14th, and so snagged them at a sunset recording while they were super, super loud. Got a nice air check out of them. And then also from a recording review from earlier in the month, the 1370 KWRT, Boonville, Missouri, for a new one. Country Music heard them this week. So there's a couple. Was it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? 6 new ones this week. We'll take it. All right. That's going to do it for this St. Patrick's themed edition of DX Central Live, my friends. We, as always, thank you for being here with us each and every Friday night. Not many weeks left this season, and we'll be taking a break for the summertime and getting back in the fall. But we appreciate you guys being here with us every Friday night at 18:45 Central Daylight. That is 6:45 Central Time, 23:45 UTC time. And just appreciate you guys being here and having fun with us each week, and seeing all the fun stuff we talk about in the chat, and hearing the good stuff that you're hearing on the dials as well. So appreciate you being here. And we'll see you next week from the North Shore Studios. Hopefully a warmer North Shore Studios next week right here on DX Central Live. Take care, my friends. 73 and best of DX.
This is DX Central Live.